Hey everybody, Rebecca Simon Peter here with Spiritual Mojo. 15 minutes to uplift your spirit, uplevel your faith, and uphold your consciousness. I'm really glad to be with you. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been on. And what I want to speak today about is the spiritual value of courage. Sometimes when it comes to spirituality, we think of things like peace and love and joy, and all of that's wonderful. And there comes a time for courage. Courage is fear that has said its prayers. Courage is not fearlessness. It's acting courageously in the face of fear. It's doing the thing that you know needs to be done, saying the thing you know that needs to be said, or even thinking the thought that before you dared not think. Courage especially is important in these days. I don't know about you, but I've noticed how true passes for false. False passes for true, and it's all said with such great authority that it makes you wonder, am I losing my mind? How come they're saying it's true when I know it's false? How come they're saying it's false when I know it's true? How come incivility passes for civility? How come treating people poorly and with great disrespect passes for normal human behavior? It's a sign of the times, but it's not a sign of the Spirit. It's not a sign of what you are called to be or do. It's actually the moment to face with courage and to realize sometimes the emperor has no clothing, and it's okay to say that. Sometimes the things around you are completely false, even though they're passing as true. It's okay to know that. Sometimes the world is filled with darkness, but it calls itself light, or it calls itself right. It's okay to know that that's not actually the case. All of this requires courage, spiritual courage, to know deep within yourself the difference between true and false. It's also the courage of saying what needs to be said and doing what needs to be done. Courage is so very important in these days, because what happens when we take in the world around us at face value, and we believe the lies, and we say yes to the falsehoods, and we call the darkness light, we lose our own soul. It's so important not to do that. I want to encourage you with everything I have in my being to not give up your soul. Don't give up what you know to be right. Don't give up what you know to be true. Don't compromise your own inner integrity just to go along, to get along. There's no value in that. Jesus said, "What profiteth a man to gain the world but to lose his soul?" The soul is the connection that we have to God, and it's the part of us that's true and enduring and everlasting. You'll always live with your soul. You won't always live with the circumstances around you. Hang tight to your soul. We're talking today about courage and the spiritual value of courage. That sometimes when right calls itself wrong and wrong calls itself right and the darkness calls itself light, it's okay to know that the emperor has no clothing. It's okay to know deep within your soul what's actually true and what's actually real. And it's okay to say it. It's okay to think it. It's okay to believe it, what you know to be true. I want to encourage you in these days to hold fast. Hold fast to your inner truth. Hold fast to the soul's wisdom. Hold fast to truth. Even when around you it seems to be disintegrating, even when around you the world seems to be falling apart, know that something new is being born. And for you to enter into that new world with integrity requires you to have courage. And so that's our word of the day. Courage, it's fear that has said its prayers. I want you to think now about what is requiring courage in your life. What is requiring courage in your life? Is there a word that needs to be said? Is there a gift of forgiveness that needs to be given? That requires courage. Is there an amend to make? That requires courage because it requires humility. Is there something that you must speak out about, that you've been quiet about, that you've let wash over you but it's not right? That requires courage because it requires you to perhaps look foolish, or to perhaps be contradicted, or perhaps to be put down, or perhaps to go against the crowd. That requires courage, but do it. I want to encourage you to be that light in the world, be that truth in the world, be that kindness in the world, be that compassion in the world. When all around you people are rushing by, and even in COVID style rushing by, when all around the world is saying, no, we don't love this person anymore, no, we're not going to put up with that kind of people anymore, don't go along. Don't go along. I think back, I'm born and raised Jewish, and so the stories of the Holocaust and the tremendous courage that was demonstrated there was also lifted up alongside those people that just went along because they were afraid or they didn't know better. Well, these are like those times in that there's a lot of pressure to go along. There's a lot of pressure to go along. And that doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't mean it's right. And in the end, you will be the one that knows deep within your soul if you did what was right. I want to encourage you to not give up that soul connection, not give up that spirit connection just to seem to get along with what everybody else seems to be doing. Go deep within. Stay connected. Stay grounded. And then practice speaking the truth out loud. Practice saying, "The emperor has no clothing." Practice saying the kindness that needs to be said, the truth that needs to be spoken, the love that needs to be shared. I was sending an email to somebody had written me an email yesterday. It was part of my work. I work with church leaders across the country, and this person had requested a certain accommodation. And of course, I was happy to give it to her. And I just felt this prompting of love. And even though I don't really know her that well, I signed the email, "Much love." And I thought, is that weird? And I thought, no, love is never weird. Love is never weird. It's okay to express love and to share love, even with people you don't know. Well, there's that famous song from when I was growing up, "Love the one you're with." It's not exactly what I'm talking about. But sharing love, especially in these times, is so important to do because the world in some ways feels loveless. It feels cold, it feels calculating, it feels cruel, it feels confusing. It's important to share love. And that too requires courage because it means being vulnerable. It means sharing a feeling or a thought that perhaps won't be returned or perhaps might not even be acknowledged. That's especially when it's required. You never know when the word of truth that you speak, the kindness that you hold out, the love that you share, or the hard truth that you might need to say because you're practicing courage, you never know what sort of positive ripple effect that has on the people around you. I was speaking, I saw it on Facebook. A friend of mine had mentioned that I'd said a kind word about her and that it carried her for a couple of days. Well, that's neat. You just never know. So let us be people of courage. The Bible again and again says, "Be of good courage." And you know why it said it? Because people were afraid. Because they were afraid. You don't need courage if you're not afraid. And we live in some fearful times right now. What's happening with the pandemic, the economy? Will there be racial justice? Will there be riots? What will happen with the presidential election? Will there be calm and order? Will there be truthfulness? There's a lot to be anxious about these days. But in the face of our fears, in the face of our worries and anxieties, we have been given the deep gift of faith. And that faith rests deep within the heart and soul of each and every person. You can tap into that faith every time you go into your own heart, every time you tune deep within. That faith gives us courage. That faith gives us grounding. That faith gives us connection to the larger realities around us. And your courage is needed in these days, because the more you demonstrate courage and the more you demonstrate faith, the greater the resilience you have. And the greater resilience you have, the more you make it possible for the people around you to keep their heads and to keep themselves centered and grounded and okay. Each one of us has a responsibility to ourselves to remain centered and grounded in these times for ourselves, but also for the people around us. Because when we maintain a resonance, a harmony of resilience, it allows the people around us to do the same. If you're always flying off the handle, you might notice the people around you are a little bit skittish. If you're able to maintain calm and peacefulness and harmony within your own self, you're going to notice the people around you are able to do that. So likewise, in the matter of courage, the more courageous you are, the more you break the spell of the status quo, and the more you're going to enable the people around you to be courageous. So fear not, be courageous, be bold, be loving, be kind. Think about the people around you that are having a tough time. Send your love, send your energy, share your courage with them. This is the time, people, for us to be not only human, but humane with one another. Look especially for the people around you that may be marginalized, that may be hurting, that may feel like the world does not care, that may be insulted, actively insulted by the people around them. Be of good courage, be of good love, be a good human. In Yiddish we say, be a mensch. Be a mensch. It means be an upstanding human being. The world needs that right now, and you will decorate your own soul as you give courage to the people around you. I love you. God loves you. Go love the people around you. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday for Spiritual Mojo. Bye.